Annyeonghaseyo, all my beautiful people, and welcome to the alternate point of view. It has been a while. Thank you so much for all of you who have stuck it out and had some patience with me. I apologize. I did promise a video a couple of weeks ago, and unfortunately, I got COVID for the 7th time. And also we were moving, and I have literally been just kind of down and out for the last couple of weeks, and I'm still going through some health issues. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to be on YouTube. So I apologize, but thank you so much. I appreciate everyone who has been subscribing and waiting patiently for a new video. And today I am not going to disappoint. Again, welcome to anyone who is new, and welcome everyone back who has been waiting for a video. And I hope that you will still continue to like, subscribe, and share. As you can see, the background has changed as I am now in what I call my cloffice, because we have moved into a new place and I'm in a much smaller kind of area for my spot, but I like it. It's nice and cozy and it's pretty cool. So sometimes you see me when I'm at work on the weekends working second shift, and then sometimes you'll get to see me in my little area, which is my closet / office, hence cloffice. So welcome to the alternate point of view, you guys. So I have a really sad story that I want to talk to you guys about. This is something I want you all to think about. I'm not sure if everyone here that watches this channel wants to have children, has children, or has ever experienced the birth of a child, or experienced the, thought of or found out that you were pregnant and going to have a child, or even had the thought of, oh my God, I'm pregnant, I'm going to have a child kind of thought. So, it happens. It happens to a lot of women. Sometimes you're prepared, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're in a relationship, sometimes you're not. So, for a lot of people, it's a scary time. For a lot of people, it's a happy time. So I just want to, encourage everyone to know that, when you get pregnant, you don't just get pregnant, right? It happens because you had sex, and hence a baby is formed. And for a lot of people, it's hard to understand, and sometimes it happens in not a great situation, right? So I don't want to sugarcoat it and make it seem like it's just always a great situation. Sometimes people get pregnant and they don't want to be pregnant, right? But I am a person who believes that there are choices and there's options out there. The choice begins before you even have the pregnancy happen. And I think pregnancy is something that should be looked at as not an accident. And I do know there are terrible situations that occur where people get pregnant through, terrible situations like rape or incest. Those are not as often as, let's say, unprotected sex. So I would just say, think about, when you do find out you're pregnant, it is a baby. It's a baby from the moment of conception. I know a lot of people out there would disagree. And the reason why I wanted to make this particular video is because I did post on all of my social medias about being pro-life. And I am very pro-life because I am an open adoption advocate. I am very pro-open adoption for people who don't want to have children. There are other options out there. So the reason I say this is because this particular case is very disturbing and alarming. And it proves my point when people say that babies are clumps of cells that survive off of their host. And so I made a video regarding this whole clump of cells situation. And I was pointing out the fact that, if babies in the womb are not babies and they're just clumps of cells that survive off of a host, then that means that a toddler who is already born out of the womb is basically still a clump of cells that has to survive off their host, because a toddler cannot survive without their host. They still have to be fed and clothed and taken care of. Their diapers have to be changed. And that continues on into even adulthood. You know, my son is about to be 24, and even though he's married, he still needs his mother on occasion. So I would say that if you consider a child a clump of cells, then how long does that go on? How long do you consider a child a clump of cells? Or, you know, what people don't want to call a baby a clump of cells. And so I just want to see, I said that. And then I had a person respond to my video, and they said that a toddler could survive on their own outside of the womb, and that that was an example of not being a clump of cells, that a toddler could survive, that they hoped that that helped my thought process. And I said, oh, okay, I see. So you mean an unsupervised toddler can survive without their parent? Okay, that totally clears it up for me. Which led me to this case. This is Ohio versus Candelaria. This case recently happened, and this is where the defendant, Crystal Candelaria, it has faced charges for the tragic death of her 16-month-old toddler, who was just barely over a year old. And these are the facts of the case. And this is what I stated to the person who reached out to me on my post, where I said that if babies in the womb are considered clumps of cells, just a parasite living off their host, then that would mean that a toddler is still just a parasite that has to live off their host, because they can't live on their own. And she literally said to me that a toddler could live on their own. So here is, in fact, an example of a case, Ohio versus Candelaria, where Crystal Candelaria left her 16-year-old toddler alone for 10 days in a pack and play, while she went on a summer vacation for 10 days. She traveled to Puerto Rico and Detroit, leaving Jalen unattended at home for 10 days. Now, this isn't the first time she left this baby alone. The day that she left for her trip, she left the baby alone for several hours to go shopping. And then she went back to the house, packed a suitcase, and left the baby for 10 days in a pack and play. Now, so if a child, if a toddler can take care of themselves without their host, without their parent, and can survive, then why is it that this 16-month-old toddler died? Why did this 16-month-old toddler die? And why is this mother accused of murder? If you can abort a baby that is nothing but a clump of cells and a parasite living off their host, then why was Crystal Candelaria charged with murder? So this is why I say you can't have it all the ways. So finding out that you're pregnant can be a thing of joy. It can be a scary thing. It can be nervous. It can make you anxious. It can be all of those things. But what it doesn't have to be is a selfish thing. You can make the right choice for your child and yourself. Whereas there are options. Every state in this country has safe haven laws. Every state in this country allows for adoption, open adoption. you are able to place your child in a home of your choosing. So I know that there are other options out there besides leaving your 16-month-old child for 10 days alone in a pack and play. I also know there are other options than aborting your child. So this child it was found on Ring cameras throughout the neighborhood where the mother left this child often alone. And there are sounds on the Ring camera where this child, Jalen, is crying. You can hear the child crying on the Ring camera, crying and screaming because she's all alone in a pack and play with no way out. And no one came to her rescue. No one went and knocked on the door to check on the child or check on the mother or check and see if anyone was around. And it was 1 a.m. in the morning, 2 days after the mother had left. This child is screaming. No one checked on her. When finally Crystal Candelaria returned, not only did she not go straight home, she went to hang out with another man from Puerto Rico, and she took several pictures on her vacation in Puerto Rico where she's, on the beach, she's at the club, she's hanging out, she's with dudes, she's, talking about how living her life and all of this stuff. Meanwhile, her child is in a pack and play, covered in feces and urine and dying, literally dying. And this woman is partying her life away and thinking that that's okay. So I'm just trying to understand, where her logic is. So when she returns home after her, vacation, she finds her daughter is dead. And what does she do? What does she do? What is the first thing she does? She finds her dehydrated, emaciated 16-month-old daughter who has suffered the 10 days that she has been gone partying and having a good old time. She finds this child dead, lifeless. And what she does is she changes her clothes and takes a good amount of time before she finally dials 911. And speaking perfectly good English on the 911 call and crying and begging for help. She is begging for help, for someone to come and help her get her daughter, help her save her daughter. She just says, and then she makes up this long, elaborate story to the police that the baby had been sick and had been throwing up throughout the week, and claiming that she had been getting up with this sick child and that the baby wasn't eating, she was throwing up, she was sick, this, that, and the other, that she had gotten up with the baby in the middle of the night. Now, it's obvious the child is dehydrated and emaciated. It takes a while for a person to look emaciated. And the cops can clearly see that something is not right here. So they look into this deeper and they find her suitcase. They find, the house is gross, right? They also find her plane tickets. They find her receipts where she's been, out to eat. She went to Denny's or somewhere that first day. She is shopping. She has left this child alone. They discover all of this and they charge her with this baby's murder. And she just pleads guilty. There is no trial. She pleads guilty outright for aggravated murder and child endangerment. And the forensic pathologist testifies at the sentencing hearing, and she claims that Jalen's pain and suffering likely lasted for days, including starvation and extreme thirst. The judge sentenced Candelaria to life in prison, describing her actions as the ultimate act of betrayal and one of the most horrific cases that he'd ever seen. This heartbreaking case actually highlights the importance of parental responsibility and the severe consequences when neglect leads to tragedy, but also the proper decision making prior to, like before all of this. Where is your head at before you even, I'm just going to say it, ladies, before you open your legs to a man, I need you to think about the consequences before this happens, because all I hear about people talking about these days is their body count and this kind of shenanigans. Ladies, get off of it, okay? Get off of that, and you know what I'm talking about. Get off of it. Because if you end up pregnant, abortion is not a birth control pill, okay? It's not birth control. It's not a form of birth control. Your body, your choice, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, okay? And if you don't want a baby, if you don't want this responsibility, if you want to be able to up and go to Puerto Rico whenever you want to, if you want to up and be able to go get a higher body count whenever you want to, and you don't want a child to take care of, and this is what's going to happen. This is your end result, okay? This is what's going to happen. This is disgusting. You don't see a child as a human. You don't see a baby as a person. You don't see that. A child is not a parasite. A baby is not a parasite that lives off their host. Okay? And when that girl told me on my social media that a toddler could live on their own, and when I explained to her that a toddler could not live on their own unsupervised, and I referred this case to her, she blocked me. She said she didn't want to hear any pro-life lies. And I'm like, it's not a lie. This is literally proof right here. This is a case that is actually, this woman is charged with murdering her daughter because she left her child. So it's that, if that is your logic, then what is wrong with our world today? That your logic is that you can leave a toddler for 10 days to starve and dehydrate and suffer to death? If you think a baby is a clump of cells, a parasite that lives off their host, then why is it when a pregnant woman is murdered, it counts as two people? When Lacey Peterson was murdered, they counted that as a double homicide because she was 8 months pregnant. But people are pushing for late-term abortions, because they feel they have the right to their body, their choice. But when a pregnant woman is murdered, it counts as two murders, double homicide. So tell me how a baby in the womb is a parasite. This woman should be starved to death. She should be put in a very tiny space and starved and dehydrated and made to suffer like her 16-month-old baby was. She should never, ever, she should know what it was like for her daughter. And it will take her a long time to starve to death, y'all, because she's a big girl. So she should be made to suffer the way her 16-month-old daughter was made to starve to death. People need to see what it is like. People need to see and understand what it is like to see a life wither away like that, to understand that this is real. These are human beings that you're talking about. This isn't a game we're playing here. If you don't want this to happen to you, if you don't want to have a child, then don't open your legs and make your body count higher, people. That's what I'm saying. And may this child rest in peace, and may God take this child as one of his angels. And I hope and I pray that this child is with Jesus. And I hope and I pray that she's never wanting or needing for a thing in heaven, because she suffered here on this earth and was given to a horrible person who didn't deserve her. And I hope that everyone who watches this video looks at Crystal Candelaria and understands that this woman is an evil, 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 selfish person. And I hope that everyone who even thinks for a second that a baby is a parasite, is a clump of cells, that you look at this face, because I'm going to have Jalen's face on this entire video, and you tell me that's a clump of cells and a parasite. Look at yourself in the mirror and tell me that's a clump of cells and a parasite. Because that is murder. Just like abortion is murder. If you don't want to have a child, then don't open your legs and make that body count higher, y'all, is all I can tell you. So I appreciate everyone watching. I know this video is going to be controversial, and I don't care, because I had someone come at me with their logic and they couldn't argue back. They had no argument, because their argument is no argument. All people do on the other side is yell and scream and get mad and block you, because their argument makes no sense. And when you don't make sense, you don't have a real argument, because you can't say that a baby in the womb is a parasite and say a toddler can live on their own, when I just am telling you proof right here. Ohio versus Candelaria, y'all. 16-month-old child starved to death while her mom went to Puerto Rico for 10 days and met up with multiple different men so she could get her body count higher, probably so she could have more babies to starve to death. Just saying. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Please share. I hope that you like this content. I hope that you understand this is the kind of people that are out there. They have no conscience, no comprehensiveness of what consequences and repercussions are. This woman actually begged and apologized for her life at court. She had to have a translator when she spoke perfectly good English during her interrogation and on the phone with 911. But in court, she had to have a translator, which is disgusting, because that goes to show you right there that something is definitely wrong and we have a broken system. And she made herself sound like she was just this, oh, I don't speak English. I don't understand. Whatever. Anyway, so she made it seem like she just didn't know any better. Why? Because you don't speak English? Yeah, she spoke English. She was fine. So I am appalled at this situation, and I hope that you're all appalled at this situation. And I hope that it makes you rethink whatever it is you think a baby is, a child is, and what a sick and disgusting person is. I believe that she should have gotten death. I don't know what the law is in Ohio regarding the death penalty, but honestly, the death penalty is neither here nor there, because they end up sitting in prison for life anyway. But honestly, I believe that she should be starved to death, just like she did to her child. Because I can't believe that she's going to get fed 3 hot meals a day and have a bed to sleep in, and she'll be fine for the rest of her life. She'll get free medical care. She's going to get all the things, while her child got nothing. So, again, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Please like, subscribe, and share, and let me know in the comments what you think about the video. I greatly appreciate every single one of you guys, and tune in for a new video coming up very soon. Kamsahamnida.